All right, I know I've already done this video. The video was terrible. The quality of the video was terrible. And I really wanted to get the message out there again. So I was 405 pounds after being on the keto diet for about 10 years. 10 years total. Started in around 99 and I ended in 2009. So actually, you know what? No, I ended in 2010. So I was on the keto-ish, like keto paleo diet, somewhere in between. All right, so if Atkins, keto, and paleo kind of had a baby, that's where I was at for 11 years. I got up to 405 pounds, which is absolutely just, I hated it. I hated every second of it. I just couldn't stand it. I was sloughing around. I didn't notice it as far as like climbing on up and down stairs and stuff like that. But as far as just overall, couldn't fit in clothes anymore, was having a hard time. I wasn't having a hard time breathing, no. I didn't really have a hard time with that. But, there's just certain, you couldn't wipe after you couldn't do much. You couldn't tie your shoes. It's just ridiculous. I don't know why these people want to get to 500, 600, 700 pounds. I'll show a picture of myself before, and then actually I'll show a picture of where I gotten to, and then I've kind of regressed. That story is in another one. I'll link it here below, kind of why I regressed. But anyways, yes, the banana is basically how I got from 405 down to probably about, at the best weight, about 255, somewhere in there. I did do a lot of juices though. So, if you don't have a juicer, it's not a big deal. You can get there without it. But I do highly suggest making juices, especially if you're in extremely poor condition, like if you're, 300, 400, 500 pounds. Juices are a very good way to start getting rid of the gunk and the fluid retention that's in your body. I want to get a boom so I can actually have this thing up to my mouth. But it's a very good way because, you might be able to clean out your colon and you might be able to clean out your small intestines, but the gunk and everything that's built up in your system is pretty significant. And the juices kind of act as cleansers, like organic cleansers, to go in there and get rid of a lot of the gunk and the goop, and your cells get filled up with all this inflammation because they're constantly bombarded, because your blood system has to stay at a 7.33 pH, otherwise you die. And because of that, when you eat things that are over acidic or even over alkaline or very toxic, your body has to figure out what to do with these things. And a lot of the times it'll store it as inflammation in the cells. It'll store more water. It'll store it in fat. It'll keep creating more fat cells and storing it in the fat cells. If you're somebody who's predominantly skinny, then you will see it start forming in forms of cancer. If you're a female, breast cancer is obviously the first one that happens, because that's an expendable item. It's not going to store it generally in extremely needed organs, but the breasts are not. So it'll start storing it in organs that can basically just die, and it won't bring the ship down with it. So that is a very good reason to start doing the juices and all that other kind of, the juices and then the smoothies. Those two are going to be a foundation that you can lose weight with. And then now we're doing the rice diet. So if you combine all of these things, now I did not do the rice diet in the beginning. I did 2 juices a day. I did 2 smoothies a day. And then I had, sorry, somebody's having a shower. And then I had a salad that was a bowl that was like the size of my torso, basically. It was, gosh, I forget how many. It's one of these, actually. I went to a kitchen store where you usually buy, really big kitchen stuff, that, the bigger bowls that you can normally find in a store. And I got one that was meant for mixing salads, but I actually just filled it with salad and ate the entire salad. And I don't know if anybody's heard of Dan the Man, Life Regenerator. He had some salad dressings that I was making back in the day that were actually high in fat, but the weight was coming off at such a pace that I really didn't mind it. I was adding one avocado into it at a time. But then I did get to the point where I was getting a little obsessed with avocados, and I was starting to add in like three or four in a salad. And then I noticed the weight started going back up. So I had to cut that back. He also suggests you make, now Dan the Man is more of a high fat, high protein. I think the reason for that is I think he likes to lift the weights and everything like that, which is not my thing. Now, if I was lifting weights, yeah, I would add a little bit more protein in, because otherwise you just aren't going to recover at enough of a level that you would actually be able to continue and grow and lift more weights and increase the weight volume. And so, but I'm not doing that. If you are doing that, yeah, I do suggest a little bit more protein, but I still would stay away from combining them poorly, which I just did a video about food combining, so maybe watch that. I don't know which order everything's going to go up in. Hopefully that one comes out first and then this one comes out. But either way, you're going to want to watch your food combining. So to recap, I did 2 juices. I usually did a fruit juice with citrus and apples. And then I would do a green juice with apples, lemon, and then whatever really good greens you can find. Now, I would go to the store, and I was kind of a little fruitcake, but I would go over there and I kind of touch them and see what kind of energy I was getting off the leafy greens, and whatever had the highest energy in my mind anyway. Using that power versus force, that's ones I would get, and I would juice those. And sometimes I would just eat them. A lot of the times I would if they were just really high vibrating, like I don't know, just like so much energy coming off them, that's when I would put them in the salads, because I wanted that fiber too. But the ones that were good, then I would put those in the juice, because when they're just good, they would condense into the juice, and then that juice is great, if that makes any sense to you. So you take the energy, the highest vibration ones I would put in the salad, but then like this slightly below that, then I would juice them, because that would combine all of the slightly less into make something that was even higher vibration. And you get a lot of the oxygen. You can see after you make a juice, unless you do it in the Breville just destroys everything. But if you do it in a single auger or a twin gear, you can see that the bubble, there's like, it's not like fizzy, but you can see the bubbles coming up. And that's how much oxygen and everything you're going to be consuming. And that goes in there, and it's an anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant. And it goes in there and starts cleaning out the system. So I would have 2 of those a day, and then I would have 2 basically just straight up banana smoothies, unless I could find really good fruit, especially during the late fall. You'd find the persimmons. And then from September through February is date season, so I would get some good dates, and I would mix it in there. But if I did not have that, I'm not a huge berry fan. I think they're a little more expensive than they should be for what they are. But sometimes if I find a good deal, I'll do either a blueberry or a raspberry or a blackberry and with bananas, and then sugar and water. I don't really ever add milks into it. And then for dinner, I would have a salad. Now, I have changed that out. Number one, because finding greens is really hard to do these days. This is back 11 years ago now. In February, this is going to be 11 years since I did that. And it's really hard to find greens. So I stopped doing it, and I started doing potatoes and rice. Now, I like rice better, because the rice cooker that I have, the Zojirushi, is really good, and you can just throw the rice in there. Well, you clean the starch out, you throw it in the rice cooker, you hit the button, and then magic happens, and then ta-da, you got your rice. So I really like that. If you can find really good potatoes, like sometimes I actually went to an Indian market the other day, and they had potatoes that were like glowing, and I had to get some. And that's actually what I've still got upstairs. I mean, they were amazing. I mean, the skin was, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it other than I looked at them. And like, I don't know if you ever seen a show where they kind of like, so rays coming off a thing. It just looked like these potatoes had rays coming off of them. I mean, they were just like gorgeous. So I bought some of those. I don't really like quinoa. I like beans. They don't like me, so I don't eat a ton of them. I will do lentils. But right now, during this rice challenge, I'm just running with the rice. Running with the rice, literally. So it's just going to be a fruit juice, smoothie, and rice the rest of the day. This is how I lost the weight originally. This is how I'm losing the weight again. I can already feel that it's coming off like crazy. I've already lost 4 pounds since the start of this thing. It's crazy. The weight comes off effortlessly, and this is the cheapest diet that you can possibly do. And it's so healthy for you. And your body cannot break down a lot of protein. So even when I was weightlifting as a vegan, I wasn't doing a lot of protein, and I was still lifting more than most people can lift, even on steroids. I just have that ability to lift. I can't outrun a piece of paper on the ground, that's what a nun told me one time. She's like, I was at this, like, what do they call it? Spring track and field thing that they would do like the last couple days of elementary school. You would clean out your desk and get everything cleaned up and bring out all the harsh chemicals. It was the 80s and nobody cared about this kind of stuff. And they would clean out the desk, and then the next day we would have a track and field event, and then the next day it was something or other, and then that was it. And then we had our summer vacation. And one time there was an odd number of people to do the sprint race. And I just happened to be the last one, so I was the odd guy, and I had a race myself. And everybody was getting ribbons and ribbons and ribbons for this and ribbons for that. And I go up to the nun, and I'm like, where's mine? Where's my medal or my ribbon? And she's like, Ryan, you couldn't outrun a piece of paper laying on the ground. She's like, you're not getting anything. I said, fair enough. I've never been good at running. I have this bad foot. Not my thing. If this was a bike event, then I probably would have placed first. But anyway, so I always joke around with people. This is what I had to deal with back in the 80s, back before politically correct, back when people could actually say what they mean, because people wouldn't, get all crazy about things. And so this is just the diet. I know I'm off on tangent. When I can't see myself, I got a new camera set up, so I can't even see myself. So I think I talk even more for whatever reason. But this is how I got where I've gotten. I got really fat on the keto, paleo, Atkins. I would do one for a little while, for like a year, and then another one. And the only one that really worked was salmon, a little bit of rice, a ton of broccoli, and it worked. But I had to keep eating less and less and less and less and less and less and less, and to the point where I was actually having to take ECA stack just to get through my day. If you don't know what ECA stack is you're not going to know, because they banned ephedra, but it was ephedra, caffeine, aspirin, and it would basically be a shot of it's like legal Adderall. And that's how I would have to get through my day, because I was doing all this stuff. And then they banned ephedra, and I started gaining weight like crazy, because I didn't have a way to get through the day without having no energy. And then so I started eating vending machine stuff, and I started going crazy. And then I'm like, well, I'll try this diet. And then I would do that for a year, and I may lose a little bit of weight. But all of that, the high protein, the high fat started just degrading my system. My kidneys started having a really hard time. My liver was having a really hard time. I still got a little bit of a fatty liver from those days. My pituitary gland started acting up. It was a hot mess. So this is why I'm completely 100% against keto, paleo, Atkins. And somebody's going to come on here and say, well, you didn't have the correct proportion, blah, 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 blah. It really doesn't matter. Your body cannot break that much protein down. Your body cannot break that much fat down. It just, you are poisoning yourself. So what happens in the beginning is your body releases all of the water in it to try to undo the toxicity that you're doing to yourself. And then when that doesn't work, it starts pulling calcium out of the bones to try to break down acidity, because it's an amino acid and it's a fatty acid that you're eating. So that acid is too high for your blood system to handle. It's like 7.33 pH. And what happens is it has to pull all this stuff. So you're basically metabolizing your body and then looking like you're skinnier and healthier, but in fact, you're just destroying your body. And because of that, it's just kind of like when you eat or have a neurotoxin like coffee or caffeine. What happens is your body realizes that this is a neurotoxin. It has to get it out of the system. So it speeds the metabolism up. It pulls water out of the body to try to surround this neurotoxin and get rid of it and flush it out. That's why you're peeing. And number two, after you drink caffeine, especially if you haven't had it for a while, and as soon as it's gone, your body's been through this huge traumatic, what it thinks traumatic situation. As soon as that stuff is out of your system, you have a crash. What do? You take more caffeine, and it starts a cycle all over again. And people do it every day, and they spend a ton of money to do it. It's crazy. I watch these people, and I'm like, I can't. If you just had the right diet, you wouldn't need it. But people just feel the need to be on these starvation diets and try to supplement with caffeine, and it's just going to end. Well, it's going to put you in the hospital, and that's what the hospital wants. So if you want to lose weight and you don't want to be on the caffeine, I gave you the blueprint for it. You can add a little bit, you can subtract a little bit. I gave you the blueprint for it. I showed you the pictures of where I've gotten from it. If you got any more questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Give me a thumbs up. Share the videos. It helps a lot. And subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video.